Okay, welcome back. This is part 2 of the US time Waterbury alarm clock service and repair. What I've done, I've got the whole movement clean. I got this base clean. Fixed the dents on the top. It's not perfect, but it's much better than before. Might do a third episode on either stripping the old paint off this and repainting it, or clear coating it, because this old paint is, you can kind of just rub your fingernail across it and it just comes right off. And yeah, this bell was pretty nasty too. There's still some residue. This must have been a kitchen clock, because the amount of dirt and oil on this thing was astounding. The movement was like really clean, but the case, it was verging on disgusting. With that out of the way, let's start reassembling and oiling this. I am going to start off by reassembling the dial train and oiling that. So, got my oiler here. And it's probably hard for you to see that. You kind of want that to flow under there, obviously. And I was not able to remove this part, or the cannon pinion. I don't mess with those. Last time I did, it created a whole bunch of trouble and extra stuff that I wouldn't have to have dealt with if I hadn't have messed with it. So these get to stay on here. And another thing that I do, I oil this friction, the spring right there, the friction is to set the hands. I oil that too, because obviously metal on metal. You're adjusting your clock constantly, which if it's regulated correctly, it shouldn't, you shouldn't need to adjust it every day. I adjust my baby bend probably every week, every 2 weeks. So you want to keep that part from wearing too much. Okay. I can get that wheel back on. I'm just saying I'm touching it by bare hands. They're not oily right now, but I still don't recommend doing that. I still need to get finger cots, because I don't currently have any. And this may look kind of forceful lifting up like that, but no harm done to the movement. That runs nice and smoothly, so that's good. My spur is still ticking in the background. I'm filming this. I usually film my repair videos, part 1 and part 2, the same day, just because it's easier to get it done all at once, and I don't have to worry about losing any parts. I do keep track of them in containers and stuff like that. But still, there's a little, I don't know if you can kind of see the slant on those, and that will kind of latch into this wheel right here, those indents, which usually it's like this, tab is like this, but when those click into the indents, it lifts up like that, allowing the hammer to hit the bell. Whoops. Have to use my hands again. This part is supposed to just click on. Oh yeah, I see. It's offset to one side. That's why. And I'll add some oil to that part right there. And I'll add some right here where it rubs. While I'm at it, I'll also add some oil to that pivot. And oil this. I'm about to put the alarm. I'll just call it the alarm wheel on. I don't know the technical name for it. Seems to be working. The upper bridge is also kind of a guide for this wheel. It supports all of them, so pop this into place. And I'm going to twist the tabs so they keep everything in place. I'll move the tripod a bit so it's a bit better of an angle. Still experimenting here with the filming angles. And I'll also put some oil on this spring. It's kind of acts as a one-way friction sort of fit. It'll allow it to turn that way, but it cannot turn that way. Also, I also polish the pivots too. Being it's a rudimentary polish. I just stick these into an eraser and kind of twist it around. Gotta be careful if you're doing that. You don't want them to snap, because it'll be kind of game over unless you know how to repivot one of these wheels, which probably wouldn't be very economically worth it. Now I can start reassembling these plates, and I'm going to refer to the pictures I took earlier. So the balance goes here. Mainspring barrel. And yeah, I don't know if I showed how huge this is too. It's nice that the mainspring is contained in a barrel on this one. In some movements, the mainspring's just basically loose and is able to flop around, and it really gets in the way when you're trying to reassemble and also disassemble these. Another unique thing, I showed this before, but I can see more in detail. These are little spacers that they just slide onto these. So that's quite interesting. I guess it's a cheaper way of producing it. You just have to have a little rod of steel, you push it in that pinion, and then just add this instead of turning down pivots. That's an interesting way of saving money. I know Westclock's just cast their wheels, and cast the pinions with Babbitt metal. Enough rambling, let's get on with reassembly. And oil this part up too right now. Giving these parts a healthy amount of oil just so it doesn't wear out because it is a high friction part. There's that, and I should be ready to reassemble everything now. But yeah, this movement was surprisingly clean considering the condition of just the physical clock itself, like that case. I'm pretty pleased. Pretty pleased with that, actually. So I'll just slide that on there first. I'm just gonna use my hand, to be honest, because it'll take way too long. Once I have finger cuts, I'll do all this stuff with finger cuts. But this is brass, so it's pretty resistant to corrosion. But I do not recommend doing it this way. This is just the most convenient for me because it makes filming much easier. That's a massive mainspring barrel, and that weighs a ton too, obviously, because it's a lot of steel in that. It's your alarm hammer. And let's see here. I think this went. Okay, this one right here. Let's see if I can. Okay, where that went, there we go. Whoops. And then, yeah, this goes right here. Now I can get the top plate on, because I think that's all I need to do as far as getting all the wheels in place goes. Everything starts to click into place. And I'm sorry if I go out of frame for this part, because I really need to carefully look at where everything slots into place at. And these tweezers aren't marring the brass either. These are pretty soft. And I just realized something before I go any further. I still need to install the pallet fork. I don't know if I showed you this before, but that's what it looks like. And I think it's made out of aluminum. I'll slot that into place. Whoops. Now obviously I'm putting the balance in last because That is the most fragile and vulnerable part within a clock, is the balance. If the balance or the hairspring was to break in this, I'd either have to find a compatible replacement, or basically just buy a whole new clock. Now I'm slotting this back into place. Okay, we're almost done here. Get these nuts back into place. Let me just the orientation of this. Make sure everything's working correctly, because something is out of alignment here. There we go. And I'll test all the alarm functions and everything. Let me go fetch something quickly. I think actually I've got a nut driver that is the right size. Once again, you can tell I totally prepare for these videos in advance. Yeah, so there you go. Once again, another Dollar Tree special. If you're here in this, if you don't live here in the States, the Dollar Tree is our basically the budget retailer here. Everything's $1 in those stores. Yeah, so this screwdriver set me back a whopping $1 US, obviously plus tax. So, super cheap. Not obviously a heavy duty screwdriver, but good for just kind of light duty work. Oops, let me, there we go. So that keeps the alarm from moving. That's like that if the alarm's just off. See that spring in there? Keeps that from moving. And when it's like that, the alarm's activated, and when this flips up, that does that. Now this is just set all the way over to there, and so this is probably going to need to be regulated. Some of you probably already screwed around with this, so I'm going to just turn that to around there so I can install the balance. Let me get some oil in those balance staff cups quickly. Clean off excess oil. And I should be ready to hopefully get the balance back on. Yeah, this thing is massive and it weighs a lot too. Just like most other alarm clocks, this probably has a 4 beat per second, or 4 tick per second. Jeez, my phone storage just fills up quick. Anyway, back to it. I had to delete some stuff off my phone to be able to continue recording. But while I was doing it, I was just tightening up the screw. That runs nice and smoothly, it doesn't feel worn out. So now I can feed the hairspring through here. Don't mind the chatter in the background, it's just my little brother. And that looks about right. Whoops. I accidentally put a bit of pressure on it, started ticking. And get that in, let's see if it's in beat. Let's see here. Not quite, it needs to be pulled out a bit more. See if it's just check the action and make sure. Seems like it'll run very good once it's together. I'm going to just let the hairspring out a bit more, and hopefully that should. Actually, I see there is no place where it was pinned from the factory, so. Sounds pretty good too. I just bring it back around to here. You see, just kind of mess with the hairspring. think it was kind of like that from the factory, and it seems to be pretty good. So. Yeah, it is still out of beat. Sorry it's taking so long. Usually it takes a bit of work to get these things calibrated. Looks like I might need to turn the collet a bit on this one actually. So I'll just use this right here. So I'm just turning the collet on the balance staff. And that looks like that should be in beat. In beat, basically, it's hard to describe. It's like a straight line from the straight line for the pivot of the balance to there. And you want the pin to be located right there. And it looks like it just about is, so. Whoops. You gotta be careful. When messing around with some of this stuff, I got the hairspring. Whoops. So that tightens up like this. And there we go. Still sounds slightly overbanked. Or not overbanked, out of beat. So once you get the balance that kind of the correct position, what you do is tighten this nut down. Wait. And that keeps that back locked in place, and that keeps it from backing out. Now that has a bit of wobble, so I'm going to back that off a bit. I am going to tighten that screw a bit more. Then once again, I'm going to inspect it to see if it's in beat, which almost there. I need to bring the hairspring down just a bit. That sounds way better. So I can kind of lock that down into place. And I am going to use some pliers just to kind of get it in place, because that's a really big, it's a really big wedge is what it is really. And I'll also check the adjustability of this hairspring, and there you can see it kind of messes that up a bit, so I just do this. But you can see that also. That looks fair enough. Obviously, you're doing a professional job for someone, you'd want to get it so it's nice and linear all the way around, and it isn't like biting the hairspring in certain places. Say we give it its first wind and check the functions. It's interesting. It uses that little spring right there. And what I'm going to do right now actually is get the knobs on. Let me make sure I have the right one on here. Yeah. This one goes right here. And I am going to use basically this, I actually kind of use this one of my hammers. It's part of an old adjustable wrench, but it's also good. I also use it as like a little anvil sometimes. It works. And then with my small hammer, I will then tap it down onto tap the knob onto there, and I can't seem to find my hammer, so I'm gonna have to cut the video again. I'll be back once and 5 seconds later. I already found it. Sorry for the jump cut. I really don't enjoy those either, because it's more editing I have to do. So making sure it's making contact at that gear, and that's it. And this is a soft plastic, so it shouldn't damage. So, arm adjust, and you can see how this arm right here keeps that from moving. Then watch this once it reaches a certain point. See that? And then you'll do that. If I just push that in, it also shuts the arm off. Let me keep winding it using the mercury dime winding key. Ah, gosh. I'm definitely gonna need to put an actual winding key on here. This isn't very comfortable to use either. Let me make sure the hairspring is flat, which it's not, so I will correct that right now. So you can see how the hairspring is nice and flat. And it isn't running super well right now, actually, so I hope once I get some oil on this thing, it will want to run better. I'm gonna have to take it apart off camera just one more time to go through it. Sometimes that's what these things need. They need to kind of flush. They need to kind of have like a little cycle where it flushes out nasty old oil and just leftover grime that wasn't gotten to. Usually they kind of have a run-in period too, so. I'm not too worried. Oil up those. Just kind of do that a bit. And based on the way this is running right now, I actually might do a part 3. I might take this apart off camera again, just to give it one more kind of go through, I guess you could say, just to purge everything out. There might still be some little impurities left, because that does happen time to time. Okay. Well, thank you for watching part 2. This is the movement put together and, well, running for the most part. if I set the alarm and then set the time for when it's supposed to go off. That does work smoothly. I am going to let that down so the new oil can go fully through all those parts. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed part 2. Part 3 will be putting it back into the case, and obviously since it is an alarm clock, I don't know if you can see these back here. You can't. I'm gonna have to get all these lined up so it goes off at the correct time when it's set for, because that can take a while. So yeah, I keep being repetitive here. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Tell me if you like the filming format once again, you know, kind of from the angle. I started this part 1, I'll probably ask in part 3 again. Like, dislike, and thank you very much for watching. Have a good rest of your day.